Well, it's the moment all of you have awaited. Watson Brown's Titans analysis brought to you by the folks at Pennington Distilling Company. First of all, if you stayed awake for those 2 hours and 45 minutes, God bless you. You deserve some sort of a medal because it was a big old snooze fest. Watson, let's just say it the way it was. Derrick Henry just owns the Texans. It's scary.
Oh, my gracious. Would he love to play the Texans every week? He would break all NFL records that would stand in the history. I'm telling you, they started out trying to tackle him a little bit. About middle of the third quarter, they said, no mas. Nobody else wanted to tackle him. They just say, oh, Lord, here he comes at me. I mean, George, I've never seen it like this with him. He's 5-6 yards down the field before he even sees an off-colored jersey. It's unbelievable. There's no telling how many yards he could have really gained if it had been a game that was close. Because, I mean, you could tell this one was over about middle of the third quarter.
Let's take a look at the touchdown run. I guess
the last one when there's nobody in the picture but him.
Well,
that's the first one.
This is the first one.
Yeah.
And with the hair flopping, he looks like a runaway freight train. Now, that one at least had some level of opposition. Watson, the second one,
I'm not sure there's a Texan in the picture of the second one.
Yeah.
He put a good stiff arm on that guy. I mean, again, the one thing I will say, guys, we did see the burst again yesterday.
Yes.
I did. We've been waiting to see that. He hadn't gotten loose like that in any of the games, not as early as he did in this one. So I think, that was the good thing that I saw. It's about all I got out of that game, but the burst is back. He's got it still there.
Okay, here's some numbers. First of all, the 32 carries, Watson, that's too many.
Yeah.
But I think they decided that hell would freeze over before they were going to let anybody take that win away from them. That's the one thing that worries me is that number of carries.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row. This one I understand because when you get in trouble, go to Derrick. We didn't have our quarterback. Willis wasn't playing very good. The Texans couldn't move the ball. I mean, they had 69 yards in the fourth quarter of the game, for God's sakes. I don't know if I've ever heard of that before. But they knew, and so just give it to Derrick and end the game. Keep making first downs. But I'm not sure they couldn't have put any back in there and gained these yards yesterday. Derrick made some nice runs, but I'm not sure any of their three backs could have been in there. I mean, the second back carried it what? How many carries did he have? 12?
Yeah.
And he had 70 yards himself.
Right.
So, I mean, geez, it didn't matter yesterday. I might have taken him out in the fourth quarter, but Mike, he wanted to get out of there with a win, period. I don't blame what he did.
Okay, number two, we'll say that the offensive line dominates. Watson, I guess my question is, were they really that good or were the Texans that bad?
Both. I think we're playing better. We got Davis back. I think he makes a big difference in there. He gets good movement. Brewer don't get the movement that he does. When they run to Davis's side, there's good movement there. But they're George, they're bad. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it. That's right. That's maybe the worst team I've seen physically in the NFL in a long while. I understand they had a couple of guys out up front on their defensive line, but still, their offensive line, we're fixing to get into that. Their defensive line was just getting knocked all over the place. I mean, just awful. And so part of it, yes, let's don't sugarcoat it. The Texans are really bad. We've had a nice run here. We played the Colts. They're bad. The Texans, the Commanders, they're bad.
Yes.
Raiders.
And they've won 3 in a row,
And they've
which
won
tells
3
you a
in a
little
row,
something about the state of the
we
NFL.
know what kind of team they have. And they beat the Colts yesterday in Indianapolis. So go figure. And then the Raiders yesterday don't score a point. Lose to a backup quarterback and the Saints 24-0. So we've had a nice run here. We're fixing to run into the Chiefs. It'll pick back up again.
Yeah,
But
kindergarten
we had a nice month of scheduling.
Yeah. Kindergarten's about over.
You're about to graduate.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Here's your diploma for getting out of 4th grade now. Move on. Okay. Defensive line dominates. Now, Watson, I tend to believe in that because I think they're pretty good up front. They absolutely just let Houston know who daddy was.
Oh, I wouldn't have played quarterback yesterday, and I would have done exactly what Mills did. I'd have hit my back step, my 5th step, 3rd step, whatever it was they're throwing off of, and that ball would have left my hands. There's no way I would have stayed around and let him hit me. And he did a lot of that, just threw balls on the ground. I mean, just said, I can't get it off. Embarrassing. The Texans were embarrassing. Part of that is our defensive front is very good. Simmons is just unbelievable. Tart got hurt yesterday. Hope he's okay. Dupree played pretty well. I mean, we just dominated them.
Sure.
It was, you didn't have to worry about anything else. I said it to you off the air. I said, anybody other than Derrick Henry, anybody that had a number under 50 yesterday really had a day off because both sides of the line dominated so much, nobody else had to do anything.
Right.
I mean, I saw again late in the game, we took out the starting line and put in our backups. And they went right down the field and scored.
Sure.
So our secondary just didn't have to do anything at all because our first defensive line is just dominating.
Never in the history of the NFL has a team had to do less to get a win.
Never. I'd love to see the game. If there was ever one where the 2 lines were so dominant and Derrick that nobody else had to do a thing to win that game, hardly.
Yeah. Okay, now we get to the 4th one. Which we'll get into Malik Willis here in a minute. But if there was ever proof that this is a quarterback-friendly offense, it was yesterday. I mean, it was basically here, and every once in a while, keep it. Screen. Play fake one way, roll the other.
A naked bootleg kind of play or a quick play-action pass, throw it to one guy. I've been saying it all along. It's the best offense in the NFL for a quarterback to have good numbers. You ought to have good numbers if you play quarterback for the Titans because the quarterback is the second guy. Everything comes off of Derrick Henry, which it should. And then really your reads, your progressions, everything is so simple that they do. And when do we get in trouble? When Ryan Tannehill's healthy? 3rd and long. That's when we struggle. But if we're within the chains, there is not an offense in the NFL that as friendly for a quarterback as this one is. And that's why Malik got away with the game yesterday. He really wasn't very good. He was okay. His fundamentals were really poor. I think he was really nervous and he was all over the place. He missed a wide open touchdown on a short throw, about a 20-yard throw. He overthrew one of our tight ends. We jumped off sides quite a few times. That's because there's a new quarterback and a new cadence. That I can understand. But we got away without having to let Malik really have to make very many plays, George, and give Mike and them credit. I mean, they did it. I don't believe they could have played anybody else in the NFL yesterday but the Texans and got away with that. Nobody else of the 32, 31 teams other than us, they could have done that against. But we just happened to be playing the right team to where we could do that yesterday. And I hope Ryan Tannehill's back next week against the Chiefs. I saw maybe one drop back pass where he had to think high-low or throw it to one side of the field, the other, and it was a ball late, way behind our guy, and intercepted. Matter of fact, it was the only 3 points they got in the game until the last drive of the game in the first quarter. And after that, I think they said, all these throws, very simple. Let's win the game. Let's give it to Derek. See if we can win this game. They knew they weren't going to give up many points because they were dominating the Texans offense.
Okay, let's do it like this because people are going to want to hear your opinion. Would it be a true statement that Malik Willis, there's no way he could be ready in year number 2 to be a starting NFL quarterback?
You know, George, I just don't want to. I know what off seasons mean and hard work, and a coach will hardly ever say that. I know he's not ready right now. I will say it up to this point. Man, does he have a long way to go. He has a long, long way to go. I think it starts with, you remember back in preseason, we were harping on his fundamentals. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Really harp every week.
Yeah, because you know what that means.
Yes, and they're really, really poor. His feet are all over the place. He's never balanced when he throws, and he's got a really bad, when he gets real nervous, he's got a real low sidearm release. And his hands under the ball, you will never have control of a football if your hands side or under the ball. Your hand has to be on top of the ball like this to control it. Malik's is right here, George. And they've got to get that changed to where it's here, and his footwork and everything. He's got a long, long way to go. I hope part of that is just nervousness, but I also saw it in the preseason. And I thought he was worse yesterday than even he was in the preseason. A lot of pressure on a kid. I think he's got ability. I think he can be the guy, but I do think he's got a lot of hours and training to go through to get there.
How much of that is the offense that he ran in college? Because there'll be people who say, well, now, wait a minute. This kid at Western Kentucky is ready to step in like that, and frankly has looked better than Mac Jones. So is that a system deal?
No, I think it's just he's gotten away with poor fundamentals for a long while. He used his legs so much in college,
right?
And through, but he used his legs, and they were able to really simplify throws. And to be very honest, George, you're open more in college. What they call open in the NFL.
Oh Lord, your windows are huge.
That's called in college. They tell you don't throw it there. That's the difference. Where what they call an open window in the NFL, I would tell college quarterbacks, that's not enough open, don't throw it in there. And so that tells you the difference. And the long arms and the length of the secondary, long arms of defensive linemen, length of the secondary and linebackers. The windows are just tighter. And so you've got to be much more accurate, I think, in the NFL than you do college, quite a bit more accurate. The more I watch, now that I'm getting to watch NFL, George, when I was a coach, I never got to watch the NFL. Sunday was always a real busy day. The more I'm watching the NFL now, I think it's harder to go from the college to the NFL than it is high school to college in today's world. A lot of these high schools are running college offenses in high school, so these quarterbacks are getting it. These NFL offenses, it's not what they're doing. It's not the offense. It's what they're going against. The talent levels are so good. They're covering these guys so much better. You cannot be that much off, and it's an interception in the NFL.
Okay, people are going to want your opinion to this question. Is there any piece of this in your mind saying he may not ever get there?
No. If anybody said that, I'd say that's not fair. Don't go there.
Okay.
Let's see what he does with it. I see ability. I see a strong arm. I see a strong body. He can hang in there with these NFL guys. He could not get injured, and unbelievable feet. He's got quick feet, quick feet, George, and he's also run strong. He is a much better runner probably than Murray, because Murray is a guy that doesn't run strong. He's a juker. This kid can flat run over you. And so I think ability's there. If I'm the coaching staff, I can't wait to really get my hands on him and get him better and better and better. And he'll be better the next time he goes out over this one because he won't be as nervous as he was in this one. But he's got a long way to go. But there's no way. There's no way I throw him out.
If it's Kansas City this Sunday.
Oh, no, that's a different story. I mean, if he's got to make plays to win that game, a lot of them, that'll be hard. It'd be hard to do because when he starts having to throw at all those throws, all those third down throws, you got to start throwing in that. I just think that would make it hard for him. Let's hope and pray it doesn't come to that. I think right now Woodside's the better player. I do.
Yeah.
And they might, if they lost Tannehill for the year, I'm not sure they wouldn't reverse this and go with Woodside and let Malik be the backup. But in a 1 week deal or something, they feel like Malik is their future. So do I. I do. But you got to win right now, man. And the NFL is win right now. We've got patience and time, though, because there's no way we're not going to win this division.
Oh, good Lord. They'd almost have to forfeit.
Coach, 2 of the 3 teams have 1 win. I mean, this division is awful.
The division's a joke.
And the Colts got 3 wins, and they're not any good. We've seen them twice. They're not any good. So if we'll ride this thing out, we'll win the division. And then whatever happens in the playoffs happens. It's a brand new season at that point. We learned that last year, guys. We were 1 and done last year in the playoffs, and we're the number 1 seed. So the playoffs are a different world.
Yeah, all of a sudden this Chiefs game is huge because if the Titans win that one, they've got the tiebreaker in the AFC and the upper hand now.
Yeah, but I think more importantly, it's a measuring stick.
Right.
I mean, they have played nobody in this 5-game winning streak.
No.
Now you're going to find out where do they really stack.
Yeah, and the schedule will get tougher. We still got the Texans another time, and we still got the Jaguars twice. So we got 3 left still. But the rest of them, these teams will be a little better. But I think it's the Broncos after this one, and they're not very good on offense either, George. So we won't have to score a lot of points to beat the Broncos. I think it's at home, and that's the next one there. So they're sitting really good. And they are. Mike ought to be able to relax and get his team better and shoot for the playoffs. I just wish there was somebody they could get in here at receiver where we've got a guy, just a go-to guy. We all saw what A.J. Brown guys did yesterday.
Oh, God.
My gracious, did he eat the Steelers alive? Single-handedly ate them alive yesterday. Oh, I just don't even want to think about it. Just to still have him on this football team right now would be a complete different chemistry of a football team to me.
I knew Watson's analysis would be great. Those of you watching this live, you've gotten a real treat, a real insight. Others of you who see it afterwards, make sure to watch this because it's really good stuff.